Control your cash, stick to your core business, know your numbers. Marcus Lemonis from The Prophet. Seeing comments around last week's episode, I know I am not alone in the boat when it comes to taxes and business financials. Welcome to the Stitched for Success podcast, where we are teaching business and life lessons that will help you launch, grow, or scale your creative business. I am Monica Allen, and I'm a wife, mom, daughter, entrepreneur, author, friend, lifelong learner, and host of this podcast. For over 8 years, I was stuck in corporate and dreamt of escaping. Creating a side hustle with just $700 and having taken the leap over 15 years ago, we have since grown multiple six-figure and seven-figure brands. Being an entrepreneur for over 18 years has afforded me many successes and a few failures. I want to share those with you so you can grow and be successful in your business. This podcast episode is brought to you by Zeus's Closet. We like to say we're like a tattoo shop for your clothes. You can visit our website at zeus'scloset.com. Our solopreneur package is available, which saves you 20% off of your company's branded apparel. Simply use the promo code STITCHED. The link to the package is in the show notes. Remember, you are your biggest brand ambassador. Make sure you embrace it and show it wearing your logo so people remember who you are. Some comments on the episode last week. So important, but also my least favorite thing about business, said Haley from Foster Inc. Jack of Cool Life said, good grief, this is definitely the worst part about owning our own businesses, isn't it? And Ruth Ann of Wix Designer stated, if every person had to write out their quarterly tax payment, this world would be a very different place. Last week, coincidentally, I released an episode with accountant John Briggs and paid a very hefty tax bill late that Friday evening that was sent over by our accountant earlier that morning. John and I talked about business, family, finances, accounting, the IRS, and more. If you did not have an opportunity, check out episode 72. You should go back and take a listen. I have been feeling a bit frustrated this week knowing that my family paid almost 26 times more in taxes than our last president. This is money that I could put towards my kids' education. However, it left me thinking that as middle-class taxpayers, we have got to get more aggressive with learning more about tax strategy and utilizing the tax code to our benefit as well. That has been one of my biggest takeaways over the past couple of weeks. I thought I would also share just a few more from my conversation with John. First, I have often talked about mindset when it comes to being an entrepreneur. A mindset of persistence and being a go-getter, not taking no for an answer. But one of my takeaways from John is that mindset plays a part even in our taxes as well. For one thing, I will no longer sit on the sidelines. We have a bookkeeper that provides us with our reports each month, but as John mentioned, this is historical data. We can look at it to spot trends, cost increases, or other patterns in our income and expenses. But going forward, we will be discussing strategy with our accounting firm, not just getting the taxes done. And John mentioned the two components of taxes, compliance and strategy. We have always been compliant, but now we have got to get strategic, following all of the rules, of course, but using the tax code that has been created to our advantage, like so many people of higher income levels are able to do. To me, this is what John meant when he said, don't ignore your financials and be more proactive. That being said, I have two things that my current accounting firm is working on thanks to my interview with John. First, we received a notice regarding a miscalculation of payroll taxes in the past. I would have taken the IRS's word for it and just paid it, but instead I have provided our accountant with a POA or power of attorney to review all of the documentation so we can make sure that their calculation is correct. Secondly, I have asked my accountant about the ins and outs of putting our kiddos on payroll. I have not read all of the information she has provided yet, but I will in the next few weeks so I can work to set them up for success and responsibility of doing a little work around the office, saving, and earning their own money for things that they want. John also mentioned the book Profit First. I strongly recommend this book. Like I said in the last episode, Had I read the book, if it had been written and I read it almost 20 years ago, my business may have been set up very differently financially. We have since adopted many of the principles of Profit First, and it has made a world of difference in our cash flow and honestly, just my level of anxiety around meeting payroll every other week. Cash is king in serving your business. I think we have all heard this enough to know it. If you're in business already, you have probably already experienced the importance of having cash. Cash gives you breathing room and the ability to do things to grow your business without always having to run to the bank. Lastly, I love the fact that John touched on leadership and decision fatigue. I honestly had never heard the term decision fatigue before, but I would find myself saying something like, I am just tired of thinking. But that is part of being an entrepreneur. Whether you are a solopreneur or run a team of 6, 30, or 150, you are constantly making decisions. It just gets a bit more daunting when you also have others looking at you for the answers. It can be a lot, but just like John, I challenge you to not be afraid of that if you want to scale your business. I will admit that I don't have a desire to have a very large team, but the team that we do have, I love them like family, and we do have room to add 2 or 3 more. John and I also talked about hiring, but that is a big topic and it's one we will discuss in more detail in the future. I hope you enjoyed the episode with John Briggs of Incite Tax as much as I did. Let's jump into our books and sit down with our accountant to establish a strategy that works for the growth of our businesses and the legacy of our families. Thanks so much for listening. I am forever grateful. I would love it if you would follow me on Instagram and TikTok. There I share more business tips and business inspiration. My goal is to be there for you when times get hard and to help you celebrate your successes. If you have not already, I would love it if you would leave me a 5-star review on Apple and rate, subscribe, and share this podcast. Thanks again and have a great one.